The next morning, the girl sat down under the castle window and began to play with the gold apple. And the first person she saw was the long-nosed princess, who was to have the prince. "What do you want for your gold apple?" said the long-nosed princess, and threw open the window. "It's not for sale for gold or money," said the lassie. "If it's not for sale for gold or money, why is it that you want to sell it for? You may name your own price," said the princess. "Well, if I may get to see the prince, who lives here, and be with him tonight, you shall have it," said the girl whom the north wind has brought in. Yes, she might. That could be done. So the princess got the gold apple. But when the girl came up to see the prince, he was fast asleep. She called him and shook him, and she wept very, very badly. But all she can do, she couldn't wake him up. Next morning, as soon as the day broke, came the princess with a long nose and drove her out again. So in the daytime, she sat down under the castle windows and began to card with her carding comb. And the same thing happened. The princess asked what she wanted for it, and she said it wasn't for sale for gold or money, but if she might get to see the prince and be with him that night, the princess could have it. But when she went up, she found him fast asleep again, and for all she called, and for all she shook him and wept and prayed, she couldn't get him to wake up. And as soon as the grey light of day came, then came the princess with the long nose and chased her out again. So in the daytime, the girl sat down outside the castle window and began to spin with her golden spinning wheel, and that too the princess with the long nose wanted to have. So she threw open the window and asked what she wanted for it. The girl said, as she said twice before, it wasn't for sale for gold or money, but if she might go and see the prince who was there and be with him alone that night, she might have it. Yes, she might do that and welcome. But now you must know, there were some people who had been carried off there by the storm the north wind has created. And as they sat in their room, which was next to the prince, they have heard how a woman had been in there and wept and prayed, and called to him 2 nights running, and they told the prince all about it. That evening, when the princess came with her sleepy drink, the prince made as if he drank it, but threw it over his shoulder, for he could guess it was a sleepy drink. So when the girl came in, she found the priest wide awake, and then she told him the whole story, how she had come here. "Ah," said the prince, "you've just come at the very nick of time, for tomorrow is to be our wedding day. But now I won't have the long-nosed princess, and you are the only woman in the world who can set me free. I'll say I want to see what my wife is fit for, and beg her to wash the shirt which has the 3 spots of wax on it. She'll say yes, for she doesn't know it is you who put them there. But that's a work only for people, and not so much for a pack of trolls. So I will say I won't have any other for my bride other than the woman who can wash them out, and ask you to try and do it." So there was a great joy. But the next day, when the wedding was to be, the prince said, "First of all, I'd like to see what my bride is capable of." "Yes," said the stepmother with all her heart. "Well," said the prince, "I've got a fine shirt, which I'd like for my wedding shirt, but somehow or other it has 3 spots of wax on, which I must have washed out. And I've sworn never to take any other bride than a woman who's able to do that. If she can't, she's not worth having." Well, that was not great thing, they said, so they agreed, and she with the long nose began to wash away as hard as she could, but the more she rubbed and scrubbed, the bigger the spots grew. "Aha," said the mother, "you can't wash, let me try." But she hadn't long taken the shirt in hand before it got far worse than ever. and with her rubbing and wringing and scrubbing, the spot grew bigger and blacker, and the darker and the ugliest was the shirt. Then all the other trolls began to wash, but the longer it lasted, the blacker and ugliest the shirt grew, till at last it was as black all over as if it had been up the chimney. "Ah," said the prince, "you're none of them worth a straw. You can't wash. Why, there outside sits a beggar girl. I bet she knows how to wash better than the whole of you. Come in, girl," he shouted. Well, in she came. "I don't know," she said, "but I think I can." And almost before she had taken it and dipped it in the water, it was as white as driven snow, and even whiter still. At that, the old woman flew into such a rage. She burst on the spot, and the princess with the long nose after her, and the whole pack of trolls after her. At least, I've never heard a word about them since. As for the princess and the girl, they set free all the poor people who had been carried off and shut up in there, and they took with them all the silver and gold, and fitted away as far as they could from the castle that lay east of the sun and west of the moon. Good night, my lovely.